How do we usually start these things?
Usually I just yell.
You just yell?
Yeah, I go, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of your favorite podcast.
Podcast has started.
The Dungeon Chronicles.
You don't know why I'm saying that. Wrong one.
No, it's not the Dungeon Chronicles. It's Dungeon Crawl. But Dungeon Chronicles should be your favorite podcast in like a month or so.
Yeah, you've got so much work going on that. Every time. Dungeon Chronicles is our live play, by the way.
Yes.
This is the Dungeon Crawl. I already start out. He's Ryan. I'm going to stare at you. See.
He's Nesu.
Oh, I can't actually wink, but hopefully Ryan did.
But thanks for coming in, everybody. How's your week? Well, actually, I know how your week's been. Because we've had the same kind of week. We're in a snowstorm right now.
Oh, that's true.
It's very cold outside.
No, it's only been 2 days.
True.
So it's not the whole week.
I guess that's true. It's not been the whole week. But
given our geolocation, this is not something we're very used to.
But it's crazy.
I loved it. I walked down in sandals
I love it too.
earlier.
My girlfriend had her work canceled. I didn't have to go to my last class that day. So we've had like a snow weekend, and it's been a lot of fun. We went out into the snow. We tried to.
Nice.
It's not good snow for snowballs.
You brought your cat out.
Yes, he did not enjoy it.
Is he used to going outside at all?
No, I'll sometimes pick him up and carry him to the balcony, just kind of get a look around.
Yeah.
And he always just hates it. But I do it anyway because it's cute. Watching him look around. That's the only time that I can freely hold him without him getting angry with me.
You made me kind of want to take my cats out, but I
don't know if you saw. I put it in the chat and in our Discord that there was a ferret. Yeah, one of our neighbors brought a ferret outside and was taking pictures in the snow, and right after the picture the ferret jumped and was around their neck. Super cute. That's
not a domesticated animal though, is it?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know. But then since then, JD's been I don't know how your cats are, but JD's been freezing like the whole last couple of days.
And I'm a heat, I leave my heating up pretty high.
Laying on both of us nonstop. He has not gotten off of us.
I do currently have a cat in my lap. I think you can see it on camera right now.
Yeah.
But for context, if there's ever any weird looks from me and this thing that you're seeing, if you're watching on YouTube right now, I'm also a streamer. If you feel like diving into that, people who have been fans for a while, it's twitch.tv/NESUG.
I guess we can add it back to the link tree.
Yes, Nesugiru, which I will be doing. So if you feel like hanging out with me.
We both cast, actually.
We do.
Yeah, you can find it all in the link tree down below. We play games, we chat, we hang out, and we're thinking...
We can stream together now.
We can stream together. We have a Twitch for Dungeon Crawl Network. You can go find it, twitch.tv/Dungeon Crawl Network. I think it's also in the link tree.
It's also in the link tree.
So we'll be streaming our live play on there soon, and we're considering maybe streaming the actual show, the actual podcast
doing
live.
What we would be doing right now.
Yeah, so it could be kind of fun. We could chat after we finish the broadcast, or have a Q&A during the podcast. I don't know how that works.
I have more time now, but
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's a secret. So Ryan, I don't know. I feel like it's been a self-limit from him to me, but also from me to me. And we just did an episode on fighters, right? So we've done
kind of your week because you're doing a fighter in the next campaign, and
I'm doing a war.
You're always doing a warlock.
Oh, I'm not
in the campaign,
but today we are.
Yeah, well, so it's your favorite class for the most part. I mean, if you had to pick one, right?
If I had to pick one, this is the one I would play.
Yeah. I mean, it was the first one you ever played. And we've been wanting to do an episode on Warlocks for a long time. And I think we were actually originally planning it to be our last class we covered.
Yes.
Because it was like the big finale. But now we're doing it here because we spent like a year and a half not doing any classes. So
might as well bust out 2 in a row. And the way we do these is less of how RPGBot does it, rpgbot.net.
Yeah,
if you've ever been on there,
everything.
No, it's definitely kind of that casual Discord chat that you jumped in your friends like, bro, fighters are trash. And you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. So we don't fight here.
Yeah, but if you already watched the podcast, then you'll understand that's usually the kind of spirit we go for. The pretty chill, hanging out vibes. So
literally, my first D&D character, way back in, I think, middle school or high school, was with my good friend Joe, and they were like, man, what are you gonna do? Before I knew any of the memes, before I had gone on the internet and seen everybody plays this combination of stuff, the first ever character I fucking made was a chaotic neutral tiefling warlock. Come on. So it's been the basis for a lot of things. Looking at Ustream right now, wink, I guess, I don't know. It's been the basis for some stuff. So I have experience playing it.
Now, what drew you to it initially?
So I didn't realize it then, but it's the ability to have the DM fuck with you.
Right.
And it's the room for crazy shit. It's the same reason I like ghost types in Pokemon. It's just weird, freaky, the occult.
So did you like enjoy Lovecraft beforehand?
Yes.
You like that idea? So I assume you probably were initially immediately drawn to the Great Old One type stuff
too. I love it when shit hits the fan, when people are like, I don't understand what this is. I don't know what's going on. It's the most fun. And then you get stuff.
You do Junji Ito before.
Yeah.
He gets kind of similar stuff.
And I see the word Eldritch and I'm in.
Yes.
The Pokemon had, for the first time ever, one of my favorite Pokemon in it, Giratina, Ghost Dragon type. Somebody referred to it as an Eldritch Abomination. I was like, let's fucking go. So excited.
I mean, for my history, like my internet browsing history, I'm sure my most searched type of game, if you were to look up my history, probably is Lovecraftian game. I want to find Lovecraftian games.
They're not allowed to be good.
There aren't many good ones, no.
It's within the nature of what it is. It's like playing this thing within it. And I think it should be said that Warlocks are not only about being
we will
Eldritch.
cover all that.
It's quite the opposite, actually.
But I think we were almost a match made in heaven because he likes the Eldritch stuff. I love the other stuff. We're like, you know what? And so I kind of went balls to the wall with the Warlock stuff in our home game, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Oh, you know where it goes.
Well, kind of.
I don't. Wait, what?
I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen. I know where it is, but
I guess it is about far out.
Yeah, you can always do whatever you want.
I'm the wild card.
You can always change stuff.
I'm like, well, not anymore, but chaotic neutral tiefling warlock.
Nice.
Ever fancy, ever lovely, ever wonderful. So Warlocks.
Yeah, you made a good point earlier. Let's start here, I think, before we dive into the pacts and everything like that. Pact is a crazy, scary word.
Yeah.
What makes a warlock a warlock? It's different than a sorcerer or wizard, etc.
Yeah, it's at level 1. The very first thing you do is make your identity. I think it's clerics as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do.
Kind of similar. You pick your god, you choose. But for the warlock, so many of these abilities and paths, these pacts, I will say what they are, define you, the RP, and the flavor of your entire class. And the second thing about Warlocks is they are the most customizable, like Lego build-a-block thing in Dungeons and Dragons. This is because of the pact at level 1. Mm-hmm. At level 3, you get your pact boon, which is kind of a funnel and a gift from your patron, and invocations. Mm-hmm. So whenever there's a class that comes out from Wizards of the Coast, it's really a third of the class, unless they release Eldritch Invocations and Pact, which is why they can feel a little underwhelming when new stuff comes out.
Yeah, I think the Pact boon is definitely on the least exciting stuff. They've only had one edition, which is the Talisman, I think.
Yes, and it was specifically because of like the genie and a different other thing. They're really underwhelming abilities that you would never be like, well, damn, until you start combining them with other things that we're talking about. But where do we start? We dive into the packs, or do we go way before that?
Let's start with packs. Okay. I think not the subclasses yet, but specifically what is a pact? Stuff that I have here is like, so what caused you to make the pact with whatever you reached out to? I mean, I think that's an important starting point. Did it just happen? You happened upon forbidden text that was in some scary library, or maybe it's a regular library, and you found some forbidden tome, where you saved from drowning, and some being plucked you out and said, "Hey, I saved you. You do something for me, pal." Yeah,
I think people forget that the warlock. It doesn't have to be an evil being, but it often is something confusing with its own vendetta.
You might not always understand what you're doing or what you're serving.
And it's like a god, you've got these tenets that you're following, and they can pluck your powers away if you're not following them. It's very much the same with one of these people that you're making a pact with. So really think about it. It's going to be important for you to not forget, because there's an option that I want to talk about with Ryan later, that you can lose your powers because this thing is giving you these gifts. So are we going like through all of them?
We will be, yes.
Okay.
But I think I don't want to harp on it for too long, but I think what you did is far less interesting to me than why you did it. Because you could have killed somebody, like the what's the guy in Skyrim, the little kid that like is in that house.
Yeah.
And you is like doing some warlock
Aventus
sacrifice.
Aretino.
Yes, that guy.
I hate my life. I still have that memorized. Oh, mother, sweet mother. Something Black Knight.
He's doing some ritual thing.
Yeah, for the Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah. And it's important to what he did is, I mean, it's cool, but I think why he did what he did is also very interesting. So it's important to think about what brought you to that point, why you're doing what you're doing. maybe some creature asked for your help, and so you're like, hey, I'm gonna do it. And but you have to stick to what they want, or else, like Braxton said, or like, and as you said, they can pluck your powers away from you.
Yes.
So you gotta, and that can, depending on your alignment and what you believe, that can make it a little difficult.
It can. But an interesting option that isn't too much of a commitment, I think the first one up here that we're going in alphabetical order, and I'm seeing why you went in alphabetical order, the Archfey.
The Archfey.
This one is interesting. When you think about the Fey, it's that Brothers Grimm style of tricky spirits, things that will get you lost in the Feywild, this spooky, crazy place. Things that definitely have their own sort of goals in mind and often are just really chaotic in nature. But weirdly, this one I don't like as much. What you're going to get out of it is some teleportation abilities and charming abilities, of which many things are immune to being charmed, and many of the abilities and pack features you get can be easily done through the means of a spell. So this one isn't my favorite, but damn, is it flavorful.
Yeah, lore-wise, I like what, as a DM, you can do with it. Because Archfey is, I mean, if you are making a deal with an Archfey, I feel almost like more than some of the other ones, I feel really sorry for you. That's a scary thing. Because the fun thing with an Archfey, if you go watch our Feywild episode, is that they like playing, air quotes, jokes. Yeah. And fooling around.
Kind of like devils.
Being silly. Yeah.
With less law.
Yes. But oftentimes these jokes are not the nicest. Like you're shaking your hand with somebody, instead of like a joke buzzer, it's a nail that like goes through your hand. And
well, now your hand's a parrot forever.
Yeah, you say something and then now you're stuck saying that thing forever because they thought it was funny. So having a patron like this, and I'll say this for most of them, that while they don't necessarily completely, control you or take over you, but I think your patron will influence you in ways.
It's part of your life.
Yeah, it's a part of your life. It's how you got your powers. It's influencing you in some way. And this Archfey, will probably want something from you. They'll want you to do something. The way our Archfays love making deals and contracts with people, and then things go awry. And I doubt very highly that this will be a pleasant experience for you to go through.
Will it be a pleasant experience in terms of gameplay?
Maybe.
I don't know. When I see these abilities, I don't think there's anything that I couldn't just get by being another class and taking those spell slots.
Sure.
It doesn't make your Eldritch Blast spamming, which is a very big key feature of this, any more powerful. But it does give you some opportunities to use things instead of spell slots. This warp that allows you to get out of jail free, turn invisible until your next turn, etc. I mean, it's gonna be fun, but you're not gonna feel like you're doing everything you can.
Yeah.
So this, if you're taking it, Strange in the Warlock episode, I'll recommend getting like the first, I think, 6 levels and maybe multi-classing into something else.
It could be cool.
With these, it could be really cool. So with these sorts of things, these subclasses, it's a level 1 thing and a level 6 thing, which is a pretty long time to get the second ability. But oftentimes the first level ability is good. And the other thing about Warlocks is their spell lists are both the smallest but the most specialized.
Yeah, which we haven't said, but Warlocks have very few spell slots, and they can get them back on a short rest.
Yes, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. Go check our short rest episode that we've got. But essentially, if your party isn't taking a lot of time to relax, you're going to feel like an empty husk of a character, and you're not going to have a lot of stuff that you're going to be able to do. In this case, I think for the first maybe 6 to 8 levels, you have 1 to 2 spell slots.
Yeah, it's very slow going.
It's very slow going.
Remember how excited you were when you got your 3rd spell slot? Yeah. It's a big day.
Big thing. And if I could get that wand of, what is it? Rod of the Pack Keeper.
Oh, Rod of the Pack Keeper.
If you're playing DMs, if you're listening and you don't put that in your world somewhere, it's a free spell slot recharge, essentially.
It's very handy.
Which is really nice. But the Archfey is not one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I will say.
So I've never played a Warlock, but as a DM, I guess I would give you my perspective as a DM.
Basically played a Warlock.
Yeah. As a DM, this one I think is one of the more interesting options. I mean, they're all pretty interesting.
They're going to be an active player in your Warlock.
Yes, your Archfey will be actively there, messing with the party, and I'm sure those will have trips to the Feywild at some point. The Feywild's always fun. So I think if you have a player that likes the Archfey, then I would say, sure, go for it and influence it and make sure it's a big part of the game.
Never forget, you're still getting your Warlock class abilities in addition to invocations that you get and the spells that you take. So it's your 6th 10th and 14th level things that you get from this is really, really nice. Capstone stuff can be really cool, but in this one, it's Dark Delirium. It's like a save or suck sort of thing that mass frightens or charms people that are around. Again, a lot of things resist it, especially at that level.
I think the difficult thing with Warlock capstone abilities is that because it's level 14, it can't be too crazy.
Yeah.
Sadly.
So what I want to pause for a moment and go like more so into RP and take this time now that we've got an example of our first
what's up with
thing.
it,
Like how would we lean into RP for a Warlock? Where would we go? We've already touched on it a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, the only other things that I would say you can really think of is, like we mentioned with the Archfey, is the nature of the thing that you are connected with.
Yeah.
And how much that impacts your RP. Because your patron, I'd say 9 times out of 10, maybe 8 times out of 10, it knows of your existence, made a willing pact and agreement with you.
Yeah.
And is going to want something from you eventually. Maybe already told you what that thing is. So it's going to be a part of your day-to-day life. And you have to think about it. If you're a more good aligned character and you are with a devil or something, with a fiend, that can, even with an archfey, that can cause some strife maybe within your own party.
And how the hell did theoretically a pre-level 1 person meet with this and make a pact? Like, why did this happen? For what reason? So you don't have to make a big old dissertation on it, but it'll be interesting to come up with that. And it's a secret you can hold and unveil little tidbits to your crew. And they're like, the Warlock. Usually when people hear about a Warlock, they know, like, who'd you sleep with? What devil are you in bed with? What's going on here? Do we let you in the party? My whole group is still barely at this point, but for a while was like, you could fuck us up at any moment. Still could. I don't know what you still could do it. But it brings the most fun for me as a player because it allows me to get like special treatment from the DM. There's these dreams, these moments that come up that are freaky. It's that moment in a Lovecraftian novel where you're like getting a taste of the unfathomable craziness. It's that Junji Ito thing. It allows that to be guaranteed to happen in the party, the genre of freaky, weird shit that I want. So I love Warlocks.
And I think that makes me think, do you, as a player living within this world, like what's happening? Do you like who you're serving? Probably, most times I'd say probably not. Maybe you don't really care, or maybe you guys are working for each other. Who knows? But do you want to leave? Do you want to break your pact? Do you want to be done with this guy at some point? Maybe you're like, all right, I'm going to do what this guy wants of me, and then I'm gone forever. I don't want to see this guy
ever. Jumping a bit ahead, what would you do in the case of breaking a pact?
So I have a section here on severing the pact. That's an interesting thing because I don't think for most of these, which we'll be covering here later, that most of them will not be easy to leave. This entity they made this pact for a reason. They still have a use of you. They're not gonna be like, hell no, you can't just quit your job. We need you. So
it's a pandemic.
we have a work shortage right now, man. Yeah. So are you breaking it, or is some other being, a god or something, it has to be at least on the same power level or stronger than what the thing you agreed to a pact to, going to help you with that? Which I think could open the door to obviously a paladin or a cleric or some other class down the line. But it's definitely not an easy thing to get rid of.
Let's say in our home game, you've got Karen who pledges allegiance to a great old one, an eldritch being that probably doesn't know of my existence, and I've just eaten its poop, and I now have its gift or something. I don't know what's going on. In the case that I kill it, or impressive, or it becomes aware of me, and it's like, I don't want you to attach me. Get out. Am I losing all of my powers? Am I keeping some of them? How are you penalizing
That's
me?
An interesting question. I think that's something that you would have to work out with the DM.
Yeah. Monkey DM, shout out to him again. He just made another video on that. It had 2 options. Essentially, it was you can rip everything away and make them a subclassless Warlock, which is basically them when they've cast all their spell slots. Or you can make it a little bit more fun, and they get to keep what they have because they've obtained and used that power, but they can no longer level up within that spell as a Warlock at all. So if they're going to take another level, they got to get something else, or they got to get their powers from another patron.
I'd say there's even a third option where you just take everything away. When you're just stripped of it. I think now I haven't watched all of season 2 Critical Role. I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys. Well, I guess if you really care about spoilers for season 2 Critical Role, then I would say mute for the next 30 seconds. I'm not going to say much. Starting now. I'll take my hand down whenever I'm done. From my understanding, and this is coming from someone else who hasn't watched it, so I can't really spoil too much. It's from my understanding is that a Warlock pact is broken during that season at some point.
Oh.
And I believe the previous Warlock became like a paladin or something.
Okay, makes sense.
I don't know.
That's pretty good analog.
And I think they lost all their powers. So I think if I were to have a Warlock break their pact, especially with some being like that, I would imagine I would probably I'd talk to the player and figure out a way that works for them and find a subclass or some other class that they would prefer to be or want to be.
We will confront this in the post-game campaign at some point.
So probably take their power because this thing is not going to keep siphoning or letting them have their abilities.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely something that a DM shouldn't just do. There should be a conversation there.
Okay. So let's talk more about these powers that you probably don't want to lose, but you don't want to be doing the work to keep them. One of them that is probably more of a good thing, though, lawful good. Natures are weird. The celestial, these beings that live in the sky, the angel-like creatures. This is a pseudo cleric class or paladin. I don't know. You get a pool of dice essentially that you can shit out on people and heal them, and you get to add your charisma modifier to it, which I thought was really damn cool.
Yes.
To be honest, it's just about as powerful, if not a slightly bit more than healing word, which is really important for this. Otherwise, it's there's no reason to take this other than if you're doing it for the flavor, which I'm glad because WotC has a lot of that, where it's why aren't you just taking Fireball? Why are you taking this? Well, I don't want to be boring. I don't want to take Fireball. The Celestial, you can be confident in the fact that your healing abilities will be on par for 2 spell slots and a couple of abilities until you need a short rest again. Which,
I guess it's, if you don't have a dedicated heal in your party, it's or even just a
multi-class
added bit, or multi-class kind of thing. Maybe this was you started here and you're like, I don't want to siphon off this guy forever. I want to, maybe I'll start worshiping him. And so then you become a cleric worshiping the same thing.
The cool thing is you get at first level, your expanded spell list, which is really important for Warlocks, is getting Cure Wounds.
Yes.
So you're going to have access to healing stuff. If you take 1 level dip, you're getting that pool of, let me see, Olympics, blah, 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 Healing Light. Yes, so you get, I think it's a pool of 6 D6?
I think so.
It's 66. Right. I think it's somewhere. It's a good amount of D6.
It's a dice.
It's 1 D6, which is a big one. It's not a D4, so you could roll pretty poopy on it. But it's a non-spell slot thing that you can use, which is wonderful. We love seeing those sorts of abilities. Overall, I don't think people on the internet like this subclass.
I didn't when we first looked at it either.
Do you don't like it anymore? You don't like it now?
Mechanically, no. I didn't love it.
I don't know why I enjoy it. I think I'm so used to being steeped in dark, depressing
it's
shit.
Cool. It's a cool option.
Yeah. I like alternate healing that isn't just a spell. Healing hands or whatever the paladins get.
Yeah, healing hands.
It's always really good. It's not going to be the biggest thing in the world. In the Celestial, depending on who you are, the theming of angels can be kind of boring if you really want to lean into that.
Yeah, I think
clerics and stuff.
I mean, it's interesting. Now I think about it. I think the extent of the interest of a RP Warlock is as far as what the DM wants to do with it as well. So you have to have an interesting DM that wants to go into this stuff. But for me, Celestials, the gods or something like the gods have answered your prayers. You're actively going, oh my God, I need your help. God. I need something. Or maybe the god of death brought you back, which could also be another subclass, but it could also be Celestial. But again, this one would actively want something of you.
Yeah.
And as you said, it is of importance. It is, a good, quote unquote, creature. So what would they want from you? And is it, again, air quotes, truly good? Is it actually a good thing that you could be like, hell yeah, I'll help this guy. Maybe it is. Maybe
and then you run into a really weird moral gray area where they're you need to stomp on these people right now because they're in the way of our godly wishes. And you're like, well, fuck, I don't know what they're not doing anything. The cool thing for this is, the inspiring leader thing where you can give your party temp HP and whatnot. Temp HP doesn't stack as important, but level 10, which is pretty steep investment, you get a very similar feat to that. And I thought it was really cool. Yeah. Can we skip the next one?
Why? You don't like it?
It's so bad.
Yeah, but lore-wise, it's so cool.
But it is arguably, I think, the worst and most niche of all of them.
So we're done with the Fiend.
Oh, wait, the Fiend? No, if you're going alphabetical order, the Fathomless is next.
Oh, I, for some reason, have Fathomless underneath the Fiend.
All right, okay, the Fiend. No, Fiend's fucking awesome. Okay, well, it's the best class. It's the best subclass.
The Fiend is very cool. Yeah, so we'll start there then. We'll go out of order.
This is your fireball, but your warlock subclass. Yeah. It is good. It's efficient. Everything you get is pretty much good. You get to reroll dice. You throw an extra D10 onto an ability check or saving throw that you do. You get, I think, night vision probably, or whatever the hell it is. There's a bunch of AoE fire spells that you get, and an ability that allows you to add your charisma modifier to one of the damage rolls of the fire. It's like literally just efficient stuff. Everything you get, bam, 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 is just, you know what, powerful. Devil? You want me to kill people and bring you souls? Sure.
You got it.
Yeah, I'll do it. Can I cast fire spell? Awesome. Burn. You don't get fireball though, which would be hilarious.
So I found the reason why this was next instead of Fathomless is because I just wrote immediately this is the opposite of the one that we just talked about.
The exact opposite, yes.
Yeah, this is, you made a deal with the devil instead of the lawful good. You made lawful evil choice.
Yes, much more questionable things here. A couple of these abilities are...
What led you here is my question.
What led you here? Deal with the devil. There's so many things.
Yeah.
Maybe you went down to Georgia.
Maybe.
You sold a steel.
You got to fight in a song or something.
Something. I mean, literally could be if you're multiclassing to bard. It'd be a fun situation.
That could be fun.
Yeah. Literally, that's your starting thing. For this,
like one shot or something.
This is probably what I would pick next if I played Warlock again, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I was going for just spell casting, it could be fun otherwise. But if you're wanting to deal damage, have a fun devil make you do really questionable acts, or you're playing an all villain party and this is the thing that you're wanting to do, you're not going to be disappointed at any point when you reach level 1, level 6, level 10, maybe level 14. But who doesn't want to do 10d10 damage by hurling somebody through hell and then they land back in front of you a turn later, and then look on their face is just like,
what did I just see?
You didn't kill me, but I'm done. I'm gone. If you're playing for a DM like Ryan, he would consider that for a normal being who has not gone through hell. Like, did you just, what the fuck was
what
that?
Did I see?
I'm not fighting anymore. I'm getting the fuck out of here. It's just really cool. Who doesn't like devil packs? Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a double pact in my home game. That's
I don't like that one. That was
but this is another one that they will very likely want something of you. They know of your existence and will want something in return.
Maybe.
Right. And if you are a good aligned character or have good aligned tendencies, what would that say about you? Like, let's say the devil says you have to kill X amount of people every week, or else your soul is mine.
Your quota. This is capitalism.
And maybe this happened because you were reaching out to anything to save yourself from tragedy. And so this devil's like, hey, I'm here.
I think a really cool angle would be they want to fatten you up, so they make you do a bunch of sinful deeds and kill people, which makes your soul more juicy. And it culminates in a big fight where they reveal that, and you're like, well, fuck. And then they yoke your powers, which would really suck. You probably lose the fight. Hopefully you have powerful friends to make that encounter go.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea too of like there's some game or some show I've seen where I think it was probably a game where you make deals with like some classes it's like a devil component or something. I don't remember exactly. Yeah, I feel like I'm
talking board game, video game.
No, yeah, video game. And the more you delve into that dark part of your class, I guess, the more scarred and messed up you look. And so you could say with each of these subclasses, depending on what your pact is and your relationship with that pact, you become more devil in appearance.
I know Fable does that.
Maybe I don't know.
It's not exactly like that.
But like with the Fiend one, maybe how are you being influenced, or how do you look different? Maybe you're starting to get little horns popping out, or
that Fable does that.
Small little details that I think could be cool because of your leaning into this pact.
Yeah, and if you're playing in a really heavy RP situation, you've got like a cleric or it depends on the party member, but you're traveling with a random priest, and he finds out that you've got these horns that are unhidden, or you use some of your magic, and he's like, you can only cast that if you, oh no, and he like runs away. And you're like, do you go kill him? Do you stop him? What happens? You got a fiend pack. He wants you to kill the guy. Done. Your party's like, what the fuck, dude? A lot of cool shit over here. Let me say, the person that I stream as, Nesu, he's got me, he, it, whatever's going on. This is a weird situation right now. Tentacles on my head. Mm-hmm. I love the ocean, the water, things like that.
Mm-hmm. But you don't like this one.
But I don't like this class, which is what I would be and it's the Fathomless. This is your aquatic, tentacle casting, controlling, crazy Leviathan worshipping Warlock pact. And yet it is the most niche, technical, and like requirement laden thing to do. If you're in a world that has a ton of water.
So you're maybe fighting the plane of water.
You're fighting a plane of water, and your DM has said in your session world? 0, hey, this is what we're doing. I'm like, okay, I'm going to play the Fathomless. I need to know. Otherwise, some abilities literally do not work or exist if there is no water. Those of which being...
You do not want to be in the desert with this guy.
You can teleport within like a mile to the last known body of water that you've been in. That's the final one. It used to be this big maw that bites and you can teleport. Like, cool. I think it was like 100 miles.
It was very powerful.
It was bonkers. And
scary for a DM to think of.
Yes. It's like instant transmission to basically anywhere. So they tone that down a lot. The other one is if you're fully submerged, anything, I think with a certain intelligence can understand you.
Yeah.
So it's like you just transmit your thoughts through the water.
And this was Unearthed Arcana.
For a while. Yeah, and now it's in Touch Cauldron of Everything. And the other thing is, I'm going to say the cornerstone of Warlock is Eldritch Blast, right?
Yes.
When in doubt, if you're out of spells, your most damaging thing, and always your most damaging thing is going to be Eldritch Blast.
So it's an agonizing blast.
Yeah, you add your charisma modifier, you boop, boop, boop. The first level ability gives you something that is just flat out inferior to it, and there's never a reason to use it over Eldritch Blast. It does, if you hit somebody with it, reduce their movement by 10 feet. When does that actually ever come into play? Just get your fighter with like Sentinel and Polearm Master to hit them and stop them. It only does a d8 damage and doesn't scale until 10th level, which Eldritch Blast gets extra beam way sooner than that, and it can add your modifier. And even when it gets buffed, it's only another ability that lets you grapple people later on. Actually, you get Everard's Black Tentacles, which is not using a Warlock spell slot, which is great. Free spell, essentially. Free spell slot dedicated to that.
Yep.
Outside of this, you're picking this purely for flavor in the environment. It's like Ranger, kind of. If you know you're somewhere.
You know what your game is going to be.
But god damn it, is it fucking cool?
It is. It's very cool. The depths, the darkest reaches of our known world has reached out to you.
Think about Bloodborne, the fishing whatever, the DLC. Like that kind of show.
One could say this is also a great old one-y.
Yes, so it's a bit crossover there.
Because I think the main difference is that it specifically says like elemental plane of water and stuff like krakens, things of that nature have reached out to you. Oh, brother. Have reached out to you while the great old one is slightly different than that.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing to me with the Fathomless, like I feel like for me, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, I feel like that it can be interesting for a pact with an aboleth for the Fathomless.
Well, you're gonna be turning into a fish though.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the point of the Fathomless in a way.
Well, I mean, you're gonna add that in, like the sickness of being out of water and needing to touch it.
Maybe, but I think because that wasn't included in the description for this class, and so like I thought that'd be cool. I guess it could also kind of be great old one-y kind of. Crazy. I almost feel like Aboleth could be its own subclass entirely because I love Aboleths. Really
fucking cool. Yeah, so you remember in one of my NPC, you probably figured it out. The Dungeon Chronicles.
Oh, the fish guy?
You found, yeah, he was dealing with an Aboleth. That's why he needed, yeah.
So this, I think, thinking as a DM, what would the Fathomless patron want of its pact person?
More water, more fish.
Does it have a thirst for knowledge, or does it want to enter into the material plane? Does it want to cross across the plane of water, and now it's here to rule the world or something? I don't know. And how in the world did you encounter this creature? I think the easy guess is you were a pirate or in the ocean, and then you crash landed and you're drowning, and then this thing saves you somehow or for some reason.
So do you think Warlock should get the wish spell?
I don't know how they cast it. They only get up to the 5th spell slot.
No, they get one spell slot essentially for one spell
with their thing.
Up to level 9. The genie gives them that in their spell list. You could do that.
Well, you got to pick the genie for it.
Yeah.
Does it make sense that genies make wishes?
This also came out in Touch Cauldron of Everything. And it's kind of, Genie slash Genie, like DJINNI.
Yes.
I think that what it is. This class is really interesting because you get 4 choices between different elemental beings.
Yeah, 3D and whatnot.
To put in your lamp, you get a lamp that people can jump in and like do their short rests. We're in a dangerous forest.
Like the Magnificent Mansion. Or
the hell it's really cool. Hut,
Leo's Tiny Hut.
Yeah, something like that. It's really cool. You get a portable thing like that. Some of the best spell selections, especially if you go with the Dow, the Wind one. All the spells that you get are amazing. The abilities are right. Sanctuary Vestibule.
Yeah, I will say when we covered this for Tasha's,
I did not like it at all.
I did not enjoy it.
I still don't.
I don't know why. I don't know what. I mean, genies just aren't interesting to me or something, but this is not. I think it's weird. So when I think about it lore-wise and RP-wise, I'm interested. I think it's kind of cool. Like, how did you encounter this genie? Where were you? How did you find, was it an artifact or something? Do you have a collaborative relationship with this genie? Are you both working for something? Kind of think like Aladdin in a way.
You just picked the bottle, rubbed it, and
maybe you picked it up, and you're kind of like, I guess, not in this weird spot. Is the genie sinister? Does it want something bad? Because not all genies are very good. Or which was kind of my favorite option, are you two using each other? Like, it's like, I need you to complete what I need because I can't leave this goddamn stupid thing I'm in. And you need me, or I need, as the person, I need you to
break out
kill
musical.
my enemies or something. And so you're both using each other for different means, different purposes, which I think would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's very nice. And then, 14th level, we get a limited wish, which is not super crazy, but whenever you get your Mystic Arcanum, you do get the wish spell, Warlocks. Looking at you. Make a pact with something else. Wish for that. Wish for Warlocks to not suck. We haven't said many things for people to think Warlocks suck. We haven't talked about the mechanics. Big reason is just go back to our short rest episode, and that'll tell you why. We'll leave it at that. It is the next one though.
Yeah, this one's my favorite. I love the goo. I love the goo.
Old one. This is the one that any of you like Lovecraftian fans, the people that like Junji Ito, you jump to this and you're like, I want crazy shit. I want unknowing shit. He's having a fuss with his mic stand right now.
It was fine, and I just barely touched with my foot. Now it's falling.
This is the thing that you're going to take if you want to make mind thralls, if you want to speak messages into people's brain from a random distance. Yes. It's so much fun. The spell list is anything super crazy or weird. You get Dominate Beast, Hold Person, Clairvoyance. And I think, to me, this is the titular Warlock class, though most people would say the Fiend. Not much else to talk about it outside of it just being the most fun RP wise for me, personally.
Yeah, so much so that so you didn't like it mechanically.
No, I didn't like something else mechanically.
Okay,
it's not this. That's the boon that I'm not a fan of.
Okay, but we switched this one anyway.
Yeah.
But we went to a different subclass, and we kept the Great Old One as the patron because it makes sense. You can't just become a different patron and get a different class, but. Just so much that we love the lore behind this thing and what it can do, what it can't do.
Yeah.
But this one I think is one of the more unique ones. I'll get to another unique one later, but like thinking about how do you come in contact with a being that doesn't even notice your existence, doesn't even care
some eldritch
for
poop,
you.
The example I gave before.
Maybe. But doesn't even know of you, doesn't even have a care for you in the world, probably doesn't even know that you're taking its powers for whatever purpose that you're using them for. So it's almost like this is a slightly more freeing subclass where if you want to pact with something that's not always there, like hovering over you, like
helicopter pact.
Like a helicopter parent.
In our home game, I think I've heard the name like once.
Yeah, you get like weird dreams.
And we're like 12th level at this point, so it's like, man.
Yes.
All I know is I need to kill it.
Well, I think, again, because the other ones are more, I guess, human in nature, this one is to a point where your patron's wants and wishes don't even make sense to your feeble mortal mind.
Like Baldur's Gate, Mind Flares. This is the flavoring of these guys. Mind powers. Eventually you get, people can't read your mind. You get big brain. It's a lot of fun.
And the more you attempt to comprehend what this thing could even want of you, the more you fall deeper into its hole, into its abyss.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to think of.
The issue with it,
Well, what's your issue?
Is the abilities don't give you any. Well, they don't give you any sort of combat or mechanical advantages outside of some niche stuff. So you really do just feel like you're 2 spell slots for most of the time.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to swap off of it.
But it's fun.
Yeah. That's why
lots of cool stuff.
Would probably reflavor every one of my Warlock packs to be this, which is what we did for the next one, and probably the most controversial, not really controversial, just most talked about, which controversial can be, the Hexblade. If you don't want to deal with spell slots as much, if you want to be a frontliner with not a ton of HP, you want to do a bunch of melee damage, the Hexblade. Traditionally, this is the Raven Queen gifts you her very fancy.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be.
Well, I think the crucial thing is that it says the Raven Queen made the first 3 of these sentient weapons. And she didn't have to, in theory, have given them to you. You could have found them, or you found a weapon that's just as similar.
Yeah, something we didn't say is Warlock, your main stats are going to be Charisma and Wisdom, most likely. So how the hell are we going to use a melee weapon? Well, you're allowed to do damage with your Charisma modifier. Woo-hoo! Talk to your weapon all nice and sweet like a bard would, and watch it Beyblade your enemies everywhere. Beyblade. The cool thing about this is you do not become an Eldritch Blast slave, though. It does rival the damage that your melee weapon can do still. But the fun thing about this, for most of the abilities, is that it turns into an almost kind of ranger style ping where you get to add extra damage because you cast your curse on somebody.
Hexblade's curse, yeah.
You get to do crits on 19s as well as 20s, which is just literally already pretty good. Handy. You get to heal off of your Warlock level when you kill the thing. Whoever kills it, as long as it's dead, you get to heal. And you also, I think, eventually get to say, no, you don't help me. You roll a 4 or lower? I don't remember what it is. I think it's a 1 through 4 and it happens. Basically, it's a 4 out of 6 chance to have something not hit you, Armor of Hexes, if it is the thing that's cursed by you. The only bad thing about it, the main bad thing, is that you can only do it once per short rest. And it's not like the Hex spell where you can transfer it whenever you kill the enemy. You do get that as your 14th level ability, where if you kill something, it dies, you can move the Hex elsewhere.
Yes. Is this also the one that you resurrect them as like your specter?
It is the most odd thing. Yeah. If you kill a humanoid creature, you have to do it.
Yes,
if you kill it, you can resurrect it as a specter, which you can verbally command to do stuff. And specter stat block's kind of shitty. And this is your decently far down ability. It's your third to last one, which it just felt out of place. But for us, we've reflavored. It's not a shadowy specter. It's something that's been twisted by a bunch of tentacles and straight out of whatever hentai. It becomes a thing that follows us around. They are generally hateful and don't like people, so can't get much out of it. But hey, it's there. This is where you're going to do your crazy mechanical, like min-maxing shit. You're going to take Great Weapon Master, Polearm Master, Sentinel, and you're just going to be absolutely a big annoyance on the field to everything and do a shitload of damage and make your DM have to question everything.
Experience that firsthand.
He does fine. I'm almost dead every combat encounter.
But I think, so the interesting thing about this, I find this one to be extremely unique from an RP's perspective. Obviously not the way we do it, which is kind of, but I find it's very interesting because you're not really in a pact with anything. You're in a pact with whatever is possibly inside this weapon that you're wielding. So is your weapon like hungering? Does it want you to kill things? Like, the way I picture is like the basilisk from Harry Potter is like, to kill kind of thing, and you gotta go do stuff. Wait,
did you say a pack for this thing that's inside your weapon?
That's what the Hexblade is technically.
I don't like that. No, hold on. This is a revelation I'm having about the character that I've got.
What?
Hold on. Am I trying to find a patron that's been inside me this whole time?
You are the patron.
Oh no.
We're all our own patrons.
What the fuck?
Inside.
I have to break my weapon to save. No.
I don't know.
Oh, he's feeling things back. I don't like this.
But then I think, so if your weapon is hungering, are you going to willingly feed it? Just like with the fiend one, the double one, are you going to willingly go out and start killing hundreds of people because it asks you to? Apparently, yes.
More power.
They haven't offered you more power. They say you got to do it, or I'm going to take your power. And you're like, oh shit, I need this power.
No, you do it.
So it brings up some interesting mechanics and RP stuff.
It's also just the best one.
Well,
if you don't do the most things, you don't want to feel like you shoot your 2 loads and you're done, then this one helps. This one helps. And there's the undead.
So cut me off if you want to take this one, Braxton. But my issue with this, the next 2, we have 2 left: the undead and the undying. I'm going to include them as 1 for RP purposes. Mechanical wise, we don't even need to touch the undying.
No.
The undying mechanics are terrible, not fun. And I think they knew that, and so that's why they made the undead. The writing, if you look at both books that they're in, say almost the exact same thing that who your patrons could be for both of these. It makes zero sense to me. Anyway.
Yes.
So the undead. I love this class. It's very cool.
The new season of Critical Role, there's an undead one in there.
So you, for this one, this is kind of the opposite direction of what the Celestial, like I brought up before, is that you've been returned from the undead by a god of death, possibly, or something that has at least control over death. But for what purpose? What has brought you back to the mortal plane? Something, right? But it could also be your own will that there's something important that you want to stay alive for enough instead of being like, shit, I just died of old age, I'm ready to go, pal, I don't want to go back. And he's like, all right, fine, go ahead. So you had to agree to it. None of these packs, they're forcing you into the agreeing. So you had to agree it for a purpose. Why did you decide to agree to it? And the god of death, or something as powerful as one or similar to it, well, why has it allowed this? Why has it been like, you know what, death not as important right now. I need this guy for purposes. The Lich needs you. What does the Lich want to be? It even has as an option as a Cesarac, the big old bad boy Lich. Cesarac, that's what I said.
Yeah.
The big bad boy scary Lich could possibly be your patron for this. Why would this powerful Lich, want this random
None of that matters.
It matters.
None of it matters. You want to know why?
What?
All you need is a big old Elder's Blast and Forma Dread, my dude. Brother. This, if you're like, I'm embracing the memes and I just want to be an Eldritch Blast machine.
This definitely does it
well.
This
buffs your Eldritch Blast, makes it fucking stupid. And I don't even go into it too much. Jump in and read on yourself. It's in VRTR. Yeah, what is that?
It's Ravenloft.
Oh yeah, American Sky to Ravenloft.
Yeah,
just get it. Get
which
your
came out
in there.
Last year, everybody.
And when it was in Unearthed Arcana, it was even more insane, but it's still real good. So if you're wanting to be Eldritch Blast machine with some really cool flavor, like Ryan was saying, this is
the final one, Spear Projection. I really like.
It's so fucking cool. And then the Undying. Don't look at it. Don't read it. Don't touch it.
Take what I just said and apply it to the Undying, but I would not ever think you should pick this as a class.
Yeah. So I'll try to truncate because the boons. Boons. Where's my stuff?
They're not good on them. They're the tome, pact to the tome,
chain,
pact to the chain,
blade, and talisman.
There's only 4. Wow.
I think there's only 4.
I think you're right.
Pact and boons. You get this at level 3.
Lame.
This is a gift for being so good for 2 levels for your patron. They're like, here you go. Here's this thing that does basically nothing unless you're Hexblade and you take Pact of the Blade. Arguably, if you're doing anything else, Pact of the Chain is the most amazing because you get. I believe it's the Imp is the only one that you should take. Free invisibility.
Yeah, Imp is fun.
It does the most shit, but you can pick a Closet, a Sprite, a Pseudo Dragon, a bunch of other stuff, or talk to your DM and pick one of the many little things you can get online that are non-standard, or change whatever you want. Pact of the Blade makes your weapon do more stuff, do more damage. There's invocations down the line you can only take per one of these things. My only thing I want to say right now is you should only pick Blade. And you should only pick Chain. Those are the only 2 that exist. Big reason is because the Talisman is really niche. It only helps one person. And you don't even get to see the benefits of it, which, if you're selfless, you might be like, it's not too bad. It's just not that great. The reason I don't want you to take Tome.
Yeah, why do you like Tome? RPG Bot likes it.
What?
It's the highest one, 4 stars over here.
You're shitting on me. Pact of the Tome, more ability, spellcasting.
Pact of the Blade's only got 2.
More spellcasting options plus optional ritual casting. They're playing a different game. They're playing it. This thing gives you already as a warlock. You can get enough of the cantrips in the game, the spells that don't cost any slots.
Ritual casting, that's fun. Handy, useful.
When did I ever use it?
But you could have.
I casted. I think. This is the funny thing. The only spell I cast was Find Familiar. You know what I could have done instead? Take Chain and.
I feel like last campaign you casted, I'd cast Identify, maybe.
But you're gonna have people that are on your team that are like, you want to cast that for 10 minutes, which is what a ritual cast is. I'm just gonna cast it now because I've got 42 spell slots.
You want a ritual cast, or
I'm gonna just file my nails. So it gives you the ability to spend 50 fucking gold, which for ages is gonna be way too much for you.
It's a lot of gold.
The only invocations that you get realistically are being able to not sleep,
and that's great.
Ritual casting.
Who needs sleep?
You need a whole ass invocation for that.
You can read more.
You can read more. You get a bunch of cantrips, which you already have enough as a warlock to be able to get things and all the cantrips that you possibly want. So you're just like, got all these cantrips. What am I going to do with them? You end up feeling like you can't do anything, and it's just here. And there's no flavor. There's nothing built into it, which you can do with your DM.
Yes.
Absolutely can. But there's nothing mechanically to say, there's a page in the book that does this. They've added one invocation where you can write names down, I believe. But it just does nothing. Effectively nothing. Gives you ritual casting. But in our case, in our games, it was not fun. And I have played the Great Old One, Pact of the Tome, twice.
And I'm surprised you did it the second time.
Both times swapped off of it for something else. Something else being Hexblade.
That's how much we wanted it to be good. He was like, yeah, I'll do it a second time.
Just play a wizard.
I feel like.
Just play a wizard. You know? If you want the flavor, sure, it's fine. But outside of that, I'm just not a big fan. And I don't. Let me read what RPG Pod says.
Yeah, tell me.
Well, get one for your cantrip, the most dedicated spellcasters. Okay, even if adding 3 when you get Pact of the Tome, can you value useful options? You probably won't need offensive options. Eldritch Blast is so effective with so little investment. Exactly. Remember that cantrips can come from any spell list. Okay, so Shillelagh and Vicious Mockery. Yes, that's the thing that I ended up doing. You take Shillelagh, which turns your polearm into a charisma damaging thing. You basically are Hexblade. And that's your path to the Hexblade, is when you realize that, hey, Hexblade is doing this thing that I wanted to do, but better. And then you jump over there.
RPG Bot should talk to us before they make these posts.
Ritual casting a massive action, providing a bunch of utility. So in the context of only Warlock, technically it's good. Technically. Because they aren't good at spellcasting and improving their spellcasting at all.
Helpful.
It's helpful. In the context of D&D 5e, when everybody's doing everything that's better than you already, this is not good. Maybe for a dip. A third level dip where you get a ton of cantrips. Or you know every cantrip in the game. But we've been talking about invocations.
Yes, invocation. That's the Lego building blocks.
This is where the big bread and butter comes in. The thing that allows you to change up a bunch of stuff and be really fun. You want to be able to go invisible instantly, hide in shadows. If there's dim light, you turn invisible. You want to be able to have, I think it's Warcaster, which gives you extra concentration, or you get advantage on concentration stuff, which as a warlock, a lot of your spells are concentration.
That's the feat, yeah.
That's a feat. You get invocation instead, Eldritch Mind, I believe it is, and it does effectively the same thing.
Nice.
These are what you go to when you're looking at the new spell list or class and boon that comes out from WotC. You're like, there's not a lot of abilities in this.
Not to chain the talisman one.
Yeah, I'm seeing like Sorcerer has all of these abilities, and you go, well, wait a minute. When you see that invocation slot, that's a pick your own class feature, essentially. We don't need to go through a bunch of them. Would you
recommend, if I wanted to make a warlock, should I plan out my levels and be like, all right, I'm going to pick this invocation, this level, and then I'm going to grab this feat when I get there, which can then supplement this invocation. That would be kind of like if I make you a Pathfinder character, it's definitely helpful.
I'd recommend it. This is the most Pathfinder-like class that exists.
Yes.
And it's still not done super well, but more so than a lot of classes, planning out is really important. With the addition of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, the additional class features, you're able to change them whenever you level up. But things that you're looking at, if you want to be Eldritch Blast Machine, is Agonizing Blast, add your Charisma mod to it.
It's like the most picked one, I would probably imagine.
That and Devil's Sight, which allows you to see in Magical Darkness. Eldritch Mind, which is the one that I mentioned before, concentration checks, so you have an advantage on it. Realistically, those are the best ones. Then you've got Book of Ancient Secrets, which is the ritual caster feat that you get for the book. It's not even good on its own. You have to take an invocation to make Pact of the Tome make any sense. And there's a few that are geared directly towards certain pact boons. Hexblade gets like Life Drinker, which adds necro damage, like 4 to 5 of it, I believe, equal to your proficiency bonus at the time that you can get it. And there's a couple of other niche ones. My recommendation, all I need to say is if you see an invocation and it's got a really fucking cool name, like Dreadful Word, you know, and you get Bane. You get to cast Bane. You're like, hell yeah, that adds Bane to my spell list. Usually I can't do that. You have to use a spell slot to cast it.
Right.
It's a whole invocation that just adds it to your spell slot. You don't get it. You have to use your spell slot. There are some that say you can cast it for free without a spell slot.
But then imagine casting Bane at like 5th level.
This is true. It would be very good. It would be really good. But if you see any of them that say as a Warlock spell slot or for a Warlock spell slot, don't even consider it. If you pick any of the others, you'll probably be in a good spot. And honestly, we've kind of gone through everything I feel for Warlock. I think it was a pretty hefty episode. Spells that are good, you don't have many. Just take a look at them. Eldritch Blast, if you have that, you can pick whatever the hell else you want.
We didn't do this for Fighter, because actually it's not true. You have played Fighter. So I'm going to do this for Warlock, because I didn't do it for Fighter, and I should have. Would you recommend people to play a Warlock? So say a class, you'd say, yeah, definitely pick it up, have fun with it. I'm asking someone who we had to physically restrain from using a Warlock in this next campaign.
It's so tough. I would strongly recommend against doing Warlock fully. The capstone ability is not worth it. If you're getting into Fiend or Hexblade, yes. Strongly reconsider if you're doing anything else.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Everybody's looking at me right now on the internet like, oh, I love the fact. I love this. If for flavor, do anything you want. Live your life and have a fucking blast, because if your DM is like, hell yeah, I've got a bunch of good ideas, you're going to have fun.
Yeah, I hurt ourselves and Mike in our first season of Dungeon Chronicles, hurt us as a party because for flavor purposes.
Yes. So do it for the flavor, for the Lovecraft, for the creepy, for the occult. I recommend it. But if mechanics wise, you want to play a Warlock, take Echo Knight Fighter and Hexblade and be literally a fucking menace on the battlefield. Coffee Lock, Sorcerer Warlock allows you to...
Which one's worse, do you think?
Coffee Lock. Okay. Infinite stuff. Infinite sorcery points, essentially. And the sorcerers of you that are watching Critical Role now and or have played a Coffee Lock, knowing the power of sorcery points is really good. If you want to have Eldritch Invocations, there's the Eldritch Initiate feat that lets you take invocations. Or if you want more as a Warlock, you can take this feat as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird feats that basically just give you little things from other people's classes.
Feats are weird. I just mentally resisted myself from putting my foot on the camera. You're welcome. Ugh. That would have been very strange. But
I got a nice sock.
Don't you dare do it right now.
Look, I got nice socks.
Oh, but that's feet, man.
It's all right.
It's there.
It's a nice sock.
The OnlyFans requests are coming in right now.
It's a nice sock.
I think Warlock is... It's not the worst class. That's Monk.
Would you want it to get reworks?
Yes.
In Monsters?
It needs to be...
That doesn't have anything. But like in the 5.5e.
I love the limited idea of a class that needs short rests and quicker spell slots and has less of them. But it doesn't need that. If it had one more spell slot, like starts with 2, and then it ends up with like 6, I believe, or 5. I don't remember. Math. I haven't gotten there yet. It'd be great. It just... What happens is they release a subclass and it ends up feeling lackluster because it's literally a third of a character. You need invocations and a pack boon to put it all together, and they don't design them at once. My recommendation would be redo everything. Don't separate it. I love leave invocations. Invocations are great, but put pack boons with the class. You've already got the Hexblade, which is literally a pack boon of this weapon. What is the point in picking anything other than Pact of the Blade? Like, if you're not wanting to be incredibly efficient and you just want to do flavor, pick Pact of the Chain, Hexblade, it'd be a lot of fun. But they release the genie and they give the talisman. It's just like they're meant to go together. The Fathomless is just
kind of there.
It's just kind of there. So take out the boons and put it in there. I don't know what to see. I'm not a game designer.
The Undead did pretty good kind of on its own.
Yeah. You don't really need
I didn't know. Did it come with invocations in Ravenloft?
I
can't remember.
Think so.
If maybe it was.
They've added invocations for the talisman and for the tome, and it was still underwhelming.
Yeah.
But Warlock, if you want to have fun and have things be spoopy and your DM to mess with you, 100% pick it. You can also do that with just investing like 1 through 3 levels of it.
Yeah, I think it's important also to say that you could also do what we did if you want the Warlock stuff. You'd pick the subclass you like, completely reflavor it. I mean, you can always do that with anything, I guess, in D&D, but you can always just completely reflavor it. Like we have, like you said, Hexblade with the Great Old One Patron, technically, with the Pact of the Blade stuff, but you also still have a tome. So there's lots of stuff happening there, but it's basically just a hex blade with back to the blade.
Play a fighter whose family has a weird thing going on. You inject the creepy occult into everything else you play in order to wean yourself off of warlocks like I have been trying to do.
Damn.
That's pretty much everything we've got there.
Damn.
If you are interested in hooking up with the podcast on social media, I mean, it's at Dungeon Crawl Pod.
I didn't stop there.
People that are watching on stream right now, hit the exclamation point podcast to see our link tree. Within that link tree, I can now happily say is Ryan's stream at Melasior Plays, as well as our Discord, where we play a lot of different games, tabletop games. We've got a Zelda 5e campaign that's going on right now that I am personally in myself. We've got a couple of Pathfinder and homebrew games that people are trying to get together. We need more people to first meet us, get a little friendly, and then jump on our games, because we don't want to throw anybody random in there. We got to do a little bit of a get to know you. But it's a good time in there. We've got Jado, who might have been in the chat earlier, who throws shit in memes. If you really want to question your sanity, you can check out the meme channel. He is a machine.
Some
maymays. We also have a Patreon, which we've had a couple of supporters coming through, and currently they're scrolling across the screen. Thank you for...
Too kind, even.
Yeah, we wouldn't have a lot of the stuff that we've got right now if we didn't have just even a little tiny bit. Like our subscriptions, you're helping us out. It's good stuff. We've got some music that we're going to be using on the Dungeon Chronicles, which is also in there.
Name drop.
Our live play that'll be coming out in like a month or so, whenever we get that ready.
Yeah, you can find it on any of your favorite podcasting platforms or on the Dungeon Crawl YouTube channel.
I do stream at twitch.tv/NESUGIRU. That's all I've got right now.
For me, my purposes here are very point blank.
Yes.
I'm going to keep it straight with you. You know, I am not going to be doing any beating around the bush.
Okay.
I'm not going to be lying or cheating or stealing or anything.
You better not be able to rickroll us.
What? Or anything that's, you know, would be out of my control.
Yeah.
You know, something that I would not normally do. But just the other night, I do have to preface this with a story before I get to what actually happened, what I actually need to do with my life.
Of course.
Is it just last night? And you know me pretty well. Like you said, we know each other for like 7 years now. That's a long time.
Too long.
Right? Yeah, too long, some would say. I'm pretty, you know, I haven't changed too much. Maybe got a little more confident that time, that type of stuff. But I'd say you probably know me pretty well.
Yeah.
So you know that nothing, you know my character, I guess. Well, I was up late last night.
Oh,
just reading.
How late?
Like 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Reading on my iPad, hanging out, you know. Girlfriend got in the bed. I was sitting on the couch, just doing some reading. And the snow had already stopped. It was already, everything was just solidified out there. And I heard like a little on my window, right on my window. Yeah, they're kind of creepy. And so I walked on over to it. I was like, which probably, first of all, it's probably not a smart move. I would never just walk. You probably shouldn't just walk over. But
yeah,
like I said, you know who I am. I felt pretty confident. I was like, I could kick anyone's ass. I've been working out lately.
He has.
I have got pretty big muscles.
Can't tell he's got long sleeves on.
So I walked on over there, opened the blind so I could look outside, and there was this, I don't know how to describe it really. And you know, you don't want to be rude, but your feeble mind probably couldn't handle what I saw. Just keeping it, you know, statically, keeping it honest.
Yeah.
And it opened my mind, I guess I should say.
Your mind's eye, third eye.
Yeah. And I can see things, I'd say, a little bit more clearly. It's I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like you can see things in different dimensions. You can pass through the planes and time, and I'm seeing time. Time is not a straight line. It's a circle, man. Everything wraps around.
Get me out of my misery.
And I saw far into the future. Actually, maybe not too far. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts.
Oh my
People
God.
wrote reviews, and I started thinking, holy mother. Maybe this is now. So go over to Apple Podcasts, rate us 5 stars, hit that review, type something fun, interesting, say, the Dark God sent me here.
Careful.
Will Apple Podcasts care like that?
I don't know.
It's kind of scary. But yeah, do that.
Yeah. That's all I got. I don't know.
That's all I got.
He's been Ryan.
He's been Nesu.
There we go. Double blink, wink. I don't know. You'll figure it out. I believe in you. This is for the podcast people, not the Twitch.
I don't know what we're doing next week. I have an option. I'll talk to you after the podcast.
You want to tell them?
No, because I'm not sure if we're going to do it or not. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up.
Okay.
But it's going to be great. And like we said earlier, we're not too far away from starting up our live play. So that'll be fun.
We're getting there. Super close.
Yeah.
But as always,
with the Dungeon Crawl.
Dungeon Bungin. Thanks for crawling with us.
Baby.
Year of the Chronicles.
Yep.
Something like that.
We'll see you next week. Take care.
Don't slip.